Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley. Thanks for joining me today for Saturday. We are celebrating the weekend by getting our craft on, and today I am going to show you this adorable card featuring some stamps and dies from Waffle Flower, and I absolutely love this little unicorn. This unicorn is from the Be Her stamp set, and I am going to be stamping that in some Gina K Jet Black Amalgam ink. This is my favorite black ink. It is versatile. It is so versatile. I can stamp this and use it with Copics, with watercolors, with colored pencils and Gamsol, and it gives me a nice rich black image every time. So I find myself reaching for this more and more. And you can see I stamped my little unicorn a couple of times, and that is for a very good reason. That's because I tend to screw things up. And so I like to have a backup on hand in case I totally mess things up in the process. And as I'm coloring the one unicorn, I'm going to go ahead and color both of them the same way at the same time. And that keeps me from having to kind of guess if I have to go back and color another one again. So I started out by adding a little bit of pink to the cheeks and inside of the ears. And then for the shading, I thought about a warm gray, a light warm gray, but I decided to go with a really light BG marker. I think it's the 40 BG0000 or the B0000. I don't know. I will have them all listed and linked below, but I'm just adding a little bit of shading, and I'm going to use that for the wings as well. And instead of blending this out with another blue marker, I'm going to use my colorless blender to blend it out. Now, I kind of skipped through a lot of the Copic coloring to get you to this point. My unicorns are all colored now, and now I'm adding some Tonic Aqua Shimmer Glitter Gloss pen over the wings and over the mane. And I am going to take the Tonic Midas Touch pen. This is a shimmery gold pen, and I'm going to put that all over the unicorn's horn. So once I have my unicorn colored and shimmered up, I'm going to take the coordinating die, I'm going to hold it in place with some purple tape, and I'm going to run it through my Gemini Junior to die cut it out. Now, I have to tell you guys, I have not tried purple tape until recently, and oh my goodness, I'm actually very impressed with it. I really am. I don't know why it's taken me so long to try purple tape, and I know a lot of people have been talking about it for a long time, but for whatever reason, I hadn't tried it before now, and I'm loving it. So now that I have that all die cut, I am going to die cut this rainbow panel piece, and I'm just separating a few of these rainbow rays from the cloud with my scissors. And then I'm going to take my unicorn here, and I'm going to take a craft knife, and I'm going to cut around his little hooves or paws, or I think unicorns, they have hooves. They're horses. And I'm just going to cut around like the two sides so that I can pop these up and make his hands come out over the rainbow or the cloud or whatever it is that I decide to do with this, because at this point I'm not real sure. I thought I would be able to kind of put those hands over the cloud and kind of stick him behind this, but with the peaks of the cloud, it just wasn't working. So I went ahead and cut off the rest of those little rainbow rays there and decided to use this big puffy cloud on its own. And I'm just using my scissors to make sure I get a nice clean trim around those. And then I'm going to take this and adhere it to my work surface to keep it in place while I cut a slit in this cloud. And this is going to allow me to slip my rainbow to where he's kind of peeking out from inside the cloud. So I'm just using my T-square ruler to help me cut a straight line with a craft knife. And you can see I'm going over the same area several times. It's much better to create several shallow cuts to get through your cardstock rather than to try to push hard from the beginning. It just gives you a cleaner, easier cut in the long run. And you can see once I'm done cutting that little slit, I'm able to slip my unicorn inside of that cloud, and he looks like he's peeking out from inside the cloud, which I think is so much fun. Now, I knew when I started this card, I wanted to create some sort of rainbow something on this card. And what I've decided to do at this point is cut a circle mask and put that on there and create a rainbow background. I grabbed my circle die there and I was going to die cut this Inkadinkado stamping mask paper. And then I found that I already had a circle cut from some of this paper in my little stash of stamping mask paper. So I just decided to use that one instead because it was faster and easier. And if I didn't have to do the work or waste another piece, why not? So you just die cut this stamping mask paper just like you would any other cardstock. And then I placed it onto my card front and I'm blending in some Distress inks. Now you're going to notice this is a really rough blend. I'm not worried about blending those colors together at all because I'm going to take some of this tonic Moonstone Glimmer Paste and go right over the top of this. The thing is, I used Distress ink for my ink blending. So once I start exposing that Distress ink to this kind of water-based medium here, those colors are going to blend together and I risk the chance of these bleeding together. So you're going to see me swipe through one color area and then clean the spatula, swipe through the next color area to kind of blend that glimmer paste over this background and clean between each one so that I'm not moving the red into the blue or the blue into the red as I go throughout this process. And because I knew those colors would kind of mix and meld a little bit as I put the glimmer paste over the top, I didn't really worry about my blending as I was doing it with the ink onto the cardstock. So once I get that blended or smeared over the entire surface of that circle, I'm going to go ahead and remove the masking paper and I'm going to set that aside to dry while I work on a couple other pieces. Now here it's dry. It did not take very long to dry at all, and that's because I put a very thin layer of this glimmer paste and I had like kind of futzed around with different ideas and I didn't like them. So at this point, we're dry. And now I'm going to work on my sentiment. So I have these little speech bubble dies. I die cut one from some minty cardstock. And now I'm taking the Rainbow's sentiment stamp from Waffle Flower and I'm kind of putting together a little sentiment here. So it's going to say, I'm over the rainbow for you. And in order to fit all of these kind of nestled together, I did have to cut apart one of my sentiments. And that's totally okay because you can always put it back together on your acrylic block and stamp it as it was originally intended. But for this card, I really needed I'm over and the to be separated. So I've gone ahead and prepped the surface of this little speech bubble with a powder tool and I've stamped the Rainbow For You portion of the sentiment in Versamark ink onto there. I've added some Brutus Monroe gilded embossing powder and I've heat set that. And now I'm stamping the I'm Over The portion of the sentiment, doing the same thing, Versamark ink, a little bit of Brutus Monroe gilded embossing powder, and then heat setting that. Now it was at this point that I realized that I didn't want that glitter rainbow circle in that lower left-hand corner. So if I would have thought about this a little bit more in advance, I would have just masked this onto the card front where I'm placing it now, but I don't think that far in advance. So I went ahead and just die cut it out and I mounted it to my card base using some foam adhesive and I'm just pressing that on there. And then I'm going to add my unicorn cloud combo here just to the lower left side of the circle. So it looks like the rainbow's kind of coming out from behind him. And then I'm going to add my sentiment speech bubble here with a little bit of foam adhesive as well. Now this little smaller cloud also came from that rainbow panel die set, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out where I want it at this point. And sometimes that's how it rolls with card making. You don't have a clear plan. You just got to cut out the things and just see where they go, right? So tell me I'm not the only one who does that. I'm sure I'm not. So once I have all of those items positioned on my card front, I am going to put this onto a minty colored card base using some foam adhesive. And then I decided I wanted a couple of little tiny strips of some gold glitter cardstock. So I am just going to add those on using some tape runner adhesive. I think these are about an 1/8 inch wide. And I'm just positioning them kind of to give a little more, I don't know why. I just wanted some gold cardstock. I mean, let's be honest here. So I added those onto the bottom, and then I'm going to finish my unicorn off with some Tonic Nouveau Ebony Black Jewel Drops. And that's just going to help accentuate my little unicorn's eyes and give a little dimension to him. So there you have it, my completed card featuring some adorable stamps and dies from Waffle Flower Crafts. I absolutely love this little unicorn. This is from the Be Her stamp set. There's also a Be him stamp set. And there's some adorable critters in that as well, including an elephant that I absolutely love. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube, but head on over to the Coordinating Ellen Hutson blog post. Over there, I'll have more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. As always, thanks for stopping by and watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the Ellen Hutson channel so you won't miss any of the paper crafting and card making video tutorials here. I'm so glad you stopped by and hung out with me today. Happy Saturday, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the very end. You know, if you've made it this far, you are one of my favorites. If you want to subscribe to our channel, go ahead and click the button on the left side of the screen. And here's a couple more video tutorials I thought you might enjoy.